What we see happening is powerful financial institutions globally that are able to create money out of thin air for themselves using communist systems of political management against not just the people of the United States, but the world. But it's not a communist conspiracy. It is liberation theology, class warfare tactics being used by crony capitalists that are best described as fascist. I absolutely must get to all the news today. There is so much of it. So important. We have former Congressman Bob Barr, who was way ahead in polls and was clearly going to win in Georgia and did not win, and a Tea Party favorite won. So for the people of Georgia, I guess he wasn't even hardcore enough for them, though he made some mistakes in Congress. He is not an unknown quantity and fought against the NSA spying, the police state, gun control. I mean, I'd give Bob Barr an A+ rating, and I'd take the Bob Barr I've known for 17, 18 years, probably over the guy that beat him. But, hey, that's fine. It just shows perception that even somebody like Bob Barr got beat out by a Tea Party candidate. Bob Barr is going to be joining us to talk about Ferguson, the clear race riots the Democratic Party is trying to start, and where he thinks that's going, and a host of other issues. So former Congressman Bob Barr, also formerly a federal prosecutor and also formerly in special operations of the CIA, he will be joining us coming up today to also look at Obama's imperial presidency. Barr had sworn to begin impeachment proceedings when he got into office. That's why I was very happy. You know who started impeachment last time with David Shippers, who we also had on the broadcast, was Bob Barr. So I wanted him to get back into Congress because I knew he would go after Obama. You can't just leave Obama in there. He's going to pull a bunch of dirty tricks. The globalists want to go with this liberation theology, racial division move. And it is thoroughly disgusting. The NFL, the Congressional Black Caucus, putting the hands up, big demonstrations all over, where it's being implied that all police killed Brown. And I was watching videos in New York and other cities as people walk by the police, hatefully looking at them like they were just total scum. I'm the guy that made 4 films against the police state. I'm the guy that constantly criticizes bad police. You don't change it, though, just saying kill them all. You play right into the globalist plan to get them into their own gang mentality. And it is outrageous what's happening. This is a huge double cross because when they're done demonizing the police, they're going to play out scenarios of civil war and attacks on police departments that are going to legitimize the paramilitary use of police against the Republic. And then the real civil war kicks off. So this is an attempt, as I've been saying for 15 years since I figured this out, but intensely the last 6 or 7, that they're going operational with the globalists building up the police state and then blaming the average cop for that when it's everybody's to blame, and then playing us off against each other in a war. And I know, like a parrot, I covered that 5-6 times an hour yesterday because I'm so worried about it. I'm not going to obsess on that. I'm going to mainly just look at the race baiting that's going on and how outrageous it is. It's truly sickening. And CNN, Time Magazine, MSNBC saying, hey, it's good to riot, it's legitimate. Louis Farrakhan and others saying, yeah, go ahead and target whites. That's crazy. You like the Bosnian guy, who I guarantee has no connection to slavery in this country, barely speaks English, getting his head clubbed in by hammers? I mean, by black folks? I mean, really, Farrakhan? Really? He deserved to have his head clubbed in?
It violates my belief in what America can be. To hear young people feeling marginalized and distrustful even after they've done everything right. That's not who we are.
That is President Obama in a press conference yesterday. I was monitoring all the major morning shows on cable and broadcast TV this morning, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, 100% hyping and race baiting, where the only issue in America is black versus white. And the people versus the police. No discussion of the banking complex, the military-industrial complex, the legal law firm complex, and accounting firm complex that is tax-free above the law, that has publicly militarized and globalized and federalized our police, and are the authors of the vicious police tactics and policies that have been put forward. They're installing the same tactics in Europe, in Australia, in the United States, in Canada. Someone questions the police, so they choke them to death. In the case up in New York, where riots are promised if the cops aren't indicted. And in that case, I mean, they really do kill him. They really do grab him. He's not resisting him. He's just talking to him. And 4 white cops kill him deader than a hammer. We're going to talk about that case coming up. So there are certainly these type of cases. Eric Gardner, choked to death, executed. In my view, murdered. And then, of course, you have Thomas Kelly, a white guy, son of a cop, I should add, killed exactly the same way. Well, his head was beat in over about 15 minutes, and he was choked. They're not sure what exactly killed him. His neck was broken, and he just begged for daddy over and over again. And let me tell you something right now. The cops don't care if you're white, you're black, you're Hispanic. They've been trained in their threat continuum that if something looks like a gun, shoot you, and that if you don't follow their orders, they have a right to kill you. And I've heard Austin Police Chief on air just say, look, even if a police officer's order is not right and is illegal, follow it and you won't get hurt. And that's just the standard attitude. Police didn't behave like this in the past. When they did, there were serious repercussions. And so there is a us against them mentality. There is a Marine Corps killer mentality being put into the police where they've been trained the public is the enemy, basically. Now, you get the federal government run by the UNESCO social engineers. We are under UN social engineering under a 1961 treaty. And it's expanded in other treaties. That's why it's all standardized worldwide. To have a paramilitary police force that will finally suppress, dominate, and disarm the people. And so to get this party started, they now want to blame it on what the general public can see, the helicopters, the checkpoints, the face scanning cameras, the black uniforms, the SWAT teams, the illegal checkpoints. They now know that we're on the verge of this, and so they're trying to play us off against each other, as I have said over and over again. Are there real legitimate issues? Absolutely. And in some police departments, they're bucking the global trend and trying to engage in real community policing and not kleptocratic cancer revenue generation. But the real drivers are the big banking institutions and others that own the big 5 prison companies worldwide who lobby for the police state, who lobby for the school-to-prison pipeline, complete with the gangster rap and gangster rock and all the other thug music that's meant to prime the youth and use their natural rebellion as a direct pipeline into the system. You want to be rebellious? Get a job young, wear a sports jacket, become successful, become a family man, build a community, become part of the system, and turn it off. And there are a lot of people working in the system that I know governmental and corporate, who are there quietly every day sabotaging globalist operations. And that's what frustrates the globalists and why they want a centralized system where every bureaucrat, every corporate officer, right down to the local level, must follow a worldwide, standardized, corporate, private zoning program down to your speech and down to whether you can have a fireplace or what type of light bulbs or toilet you can have to how many children you can have. And it's called UN Agenda 21 of the Treaty of 1992 that Congress did not ratify, but that has been implemented by George Herbert Walker, William Jefferson Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Hussein Obama. You want to know who the enemy is? It's these global treaties we didn't ratify that Obama is now putting us under, and Congress isn't even allowed to read the new Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty. WikiLeaks leaked one section of it, and it was total regulation and censorship of the web. And let me tell you, WikiLeaks is a front for Google and others who don't want governments to take over the web, because Google has been artificially intelligent for a long time and is now taking over the physical plane right now, putting their hubs in and taking over every major company out there, just so you know. So there's a fight inside the AI system, and I'm here to give you a news flash. Government already lost. That's the only reason Google released one of the 30 parts of that partnership. I've talked to folks that have been at these events as aides, and it is a total global governance official takeover happening right now, but that's a whole nother subject. So how do you divert people while all this is happening? While the standard of living goes down for the average person, while deindustrialization takes place, while everything is done to ensure we can't have meaningful jobs in a future, with the media teaching school kids they're worthless and that humans are a cancer, with the medical tyranny, the laced poison in a needle vaccines. What do you do while all this dismantling is taking place? This siege, where only the globalists are allowed to operate and consolidate power. Well, how would the British control India, outnumbered about 10,000 to 1? How would other empires, the Romans, outnumbered 20, 30 to 1 in Germany and Britannia and other areas, and Gaul and Africa, North Africa? How would they do it? They would play the different tribes off against each other. And I've talked a lot about it. I recently reordered it because I couldn't find it. A collection of essays written to the Roman Senate by Julius Caesar, first king of the new Rome. They had kings before, and they had their rise to power when they outlawed kings, and then the kings came back and replaced the patrician class. But I went back and read that book again a few weeks ago, written by Julius Caesar. Pretty interesting, you know, to read what Julius Caesar actually wrote, to read what Adolf Hitler wrote. I've read Adolf Hitler's 2 books. He didn't just write Mein Kampf. He wrote one other. I forget the name. And when you buy those things at the bookstore, they think you love Hitler. That's how dumb the public is. No, I want to know what he said. Be like reading a book written by Jeffrey Dahmer. Doesn't mean I want to put people in the refrigerator. I want to understand people like that. That's why I've read Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, because I want to understand the enemy. But this is all a takeover plan. And there's no doubt now they're trying to cause a race war. No doubt they're trying to make this the issue, that white people and that police are the reason the dollar's devalued, are the reason there's crime on the streets, are the reason that that there's any problems. And my issue is there is injustice. A lot of police departments are above the law. That's wrong. But the globalists are triggering the injustice they helped build and are now pointing the people in a racially based way at whites and police in an attempt to destabilize the nation. And it is a crime. We've got Brown's stepfather. They're talking about indicting him for saying burn down the city. Well, I mean, it's pretty clear what he said. And if he doesn't get indicted, well, then next time somebody else, I guess, can say burn the city down. Ferguson police chief, a lot of discussion about charging Brown stepfather with inciting riot. Violent agitators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Well, you pretty much have to do that, or a real civil war is going to start. And let me just give Louis Farrakhan and everybody else a little message here. It will not go good for the grassroots, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic or Asian. And I don't think Farrakhan's stupid. And Farrakhan must know that the powers that be want this. So I ask Louis Farrakhan, why are you doing this? There's new clips of Farrakhan talking about killing people. Meanwhile, whether you're black or white, entire Detroit public lighting system is down. Yep, that's being reported by the Detroit newspaper. The entire lighting system is down. That's the plan. Lights out in the Republic. So, black churches on fire, grocery stores and mini marts robbed, people stealing the lottery tickets. This is legitimate because white people are inherently bad. It doesn't matter that only a very small percentage of white people in this country's ancestors had slaves. It doesn't matter if the guy getting clubbed to death in St. Louis didn't even speak English hardly and was from Bosnia with no connection to black slavery. It's all legitimate. Time magazine headline. When it's time to riot, in defense of rioting. CNN, same thing. MSNBC, this is because America was founded on racism. Well, yeah, if you went to Africa at the time, blacks were selling blacks and Arabs were selling blacks and whites were still getting sold all over the world. And serfdom wasn't abolished in areas of Germania until the 1880s. So, again, imagine 1,000 years from now, all we'll hear about if we are to survive as a culture is how white people, a minority on the planet, about 7% of the population, are the essence of evil. But notice who's saying that. Time magazine, CNN, MSNBC, the White House, exacerbating, race baiting, trying to get the police attacked, which will then legitimize the militarization and the paramilitary tactics that are absolutely horrible. Works perfectly, doesn't it? Congressional Black Caucus takes to the floor and puts their hands up saying, don't shoot. I wonder if the black congressmen that they're doing that, I wonder how many times they've been attacked by white people physically. I mean, imagine if I walked around with my hands up when I saw black people. Oh, my gosh, I've probably been attacked by black people 15, 20 times growing up in Dallas. I've been put in the hospital. Oh, you're black. It's your fault. You did it. A black guy attacked me. You'd be like, you crazy person? I'm not the one that did that. And the video I saw in New York of mainly white demonstrators, white liberals, all walking by, looking at the police like, how dare you, you pieces of filth. Just, oh my gosh, whoa, Mr. Brown, oh, like they did it. I am not going to take this fake guilt where I'm not for Obamacare, so you call me racist? Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. Oh, don't worry. Planned Parenthood, the literal, and I will use the word literally, because it literally is the Hitler eugenics arm in America. It started Hitler, on record, funded him. Rockefeller Foundation, called Kaiser Wilhelm Institute in Germany, funded it, set it up, everything. They are calling for marches and trying to, because they love black people. Why doesn't Louis Farrakhan come out against Planned Parenthood? If he has, I haven't heard it. Why doesn't he come out against what's, I mean, give me a break. This is all completely staged. The article's on Infowars.com. Without a hint of irony, Planned Parenthood joins hashtag Black Lives Matter protest. Yeah, the 52% of blacks that aren't born because of abortion, I think they do matter. But remember, that's from a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white devil. Of course, Martin Luther King said, it's not the color of the skin, it's the content of your deeds, what you stand for, and I agree with that. In fact, they used to legitimize the transatlantic slave trade 500 years ago. when they started outlawing slavery in some areas of Europe, like Italy, white slaves were being outlawed. They said, what are we going to do? Well, the Arabs are running black slaves all over the place. Well, what do we say? Well, we'll say that they're basically the sons of Ham and have a mark of Cain, and that's why they're black. And so they're evil and they're devils. And so they deserve to be slaves. Oh, and now whites are inherently evil because we're the devil and have the mark of Cain. That's what the black liberation groups teach. I mean, can't people come up with anything new? But it's always an excuse to abuse somebody. In Africa, the UN will go in and get one black tribe to kill the other black tribe because they worship a different animal. They'll get one animus group to kill another animus group because one group follows the lion and the other group, follows the monitor lizard or the tortoise. This is the type of idiocy that we're dealing with here, instead of tribally being based on the ideas of freedom. But let's go out to break with President Obama. We're going to come back from break with President Obama. He says youth that have tried to do everything right, that's right, burn buildings down, shoot at firefighters, shoot cops, hammer people to death, everything, they're doing everything right. And then all this does is smokescreen a case we're going to cover when we come back. Staten Island police kill Eric Gardner with chokehold, and the word is if the police don't get in trouble, there's going to be riots. This is a lot more legitimate case than Brown. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.